We've all heard those phrases about quitting, you know, quitters never win and quitting is for suckers and all that kind of stuff. Well, in this video, we're going to be rethinking the word quitting and talk about what it is and what it's not. Hey there, I'm Brianna and I'm so glad you're here today. I help business owners create businesses and lives that they deserve through the power of marketing and webinars. So if you're interested in all things webinars, marketing, productivity, and personal development, definitely hit that subscribe button below and don't forget the little bell at the top so you can be notified when all the new videos come out. So in this video, we're going to be talking about quitting and why it is such a bad word to us and how we can rethink the word to work in our favor. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but if we think about the definition of quitting, here's the definition. So quitting actually means to stop or discontinue an action or an activity. So quitting in and of itself is not a bad thing. It only means that we're not doing something anymore. So let's rethink it a little bit and talk about what quitting is and what quitting is not. So if you're here right now, you know you have a big dream, you have big goals, you want big things for yourself, and you know that you're meant for more. So why does the word quitting affect us so much? Why do we attach such negative connotations to the word quitting? Well, it could be because we're not thinking it in the most productive way possible. So the first thing quitting is giving up after one try. Quitting is, you know, trying to run a marathon for the first time, the first day you try. So that's when you wake up and you're like, oh man, I have this big dream of doing a marathon, and then you try it and then you stop at mile number 3 like, man, this is hard. I can't do this. I'm not meant for this. I'm gonna quit. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? Because it is. Quitting is ridiculous when you try something new once, even twice, and then you just give up. You just say, hey, I'm really not meant for this. This isn't my thing. I don't like this. I can't do this. So the worst you can say is, I can't do it. Because how do you know what you can and can't do after only one time? Even if you try something once and you suck at it, that's okay. Because everybody sucks the first time. I suck the first time at doing everything. You'll suck the first time at doing everything. Let's give ourselves a little grace here and try more than one time. Try more than twice. If you really want something, trying once and quitting isn't gonna cut it. Trying once and judging yourself based on that, that's not gonna cut it. You know why? Because we don't always get it right the first time, or the second, or the third, or the 15th even. It takes improvement, it takes time, and what we need is to give ourselves that time and set ourselves on a path of success instead of a path of self-sabotage where we're just trying something a couple times and then deciding that it's not gonna work for us. So take these videos for example. I take a lot of takes. I say a whole lot. But you know what? I find myself getting better and better after each video that comes through. By the time that I got to, you know, the 4th and 5th, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of getting the hang of this. Still not perfect by any means, still not great, still learning, but you keep going and you keep improving. So say you're like, hey, I'm ready to do webinars for my business, and then you try it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna come up with this webinar idea and I'm gonna do it, and 8,500 people are gonna show up and it's gonna be fantastic. Love the confidence, but you know what? Your first webinar, maybe 4 people will show up. Maybe the mic will go out. Maybe you'll stumble over your words because you didn't practice enough or you're not as comfortable with doing webinars, and that's okay. And if you do it again, it's gonna get better. And if you do it again, it's gonna get better. And if you do it again, it's gonna get better. So I promise you, you know, if you do something one time, you're like, oh crap, this sucks. Everybody's first time sucks. So basically, the first thing that quitting is to try something new for the first time and then stopping after that because you're like, it's just not working for me. So quitting is also moving on without tweaking the process. So I think it's an Einstein quote, or at least it's attributed to Einstein, but it's the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again, expecting a different result. So if you do the same thing over and over without testing it out, and then you decide it's not working and you're gonna stop, that's quitting. Because you know what? When you do something once and it doesn't work out, all that is learning. That's information. They say something along the lines of, you know, there's no such thing as failure, there's only such thing as learning, or it's something like that. Every time you try something and it doesn't go as expected, or it doesn't go well, or there's a hiccup somewhere along the way, all that means is that that's an opportunity to learn. That's an opportunity to improve and grow and make it better the next time. So take, you know, webinars for example, we'll use that just because it's on top of mind. Well, you know, say you do a webinar and you didn't practice the first time, and then you also decide the second time not to practice again, and you find yourself stumbling over all your words, you don't know what place you are on what slide and whatnot. Well, it's because you didn't practice. It's because you didn't learn from your first mistake and how to make it better the second time and beyond. What you don't want to do is not learn from the things that go wrong, is not learn from your mistakes and ways to get better. Because if webinars is something that you want to do to help your business grow, you're gonna have to practice and practice and practice, and it will get better. But if you quit after that first time, not a good look. So there are all kinds of things that quitting is, and we went over too, but let's talk about what quitting is not. So pivoting is not the same as quitting. They're not the same things at all. When you pivot, that's learning, that's improving, and that's growing. So say you want to have a more active lifestyle and you start running. You have a goal of running a marathon because it's just what all the cool kids do. You try to do, the marathon plan. Maybe you do a half mile one day and a mile the next day. I don't know what the actual strategy is, but I know that you work up to the marathon. And then you get there and you're like, you know what? Running is just not something that I want to do. Running is just really not something that I like doing. So you pivot. And so instead of running, maybe you try boxing, and then you try that. And then instead of boxing, maybe you try swimming. That's pivoting. That's not quitting. The second thing that quitting is not is realizing that your heart's not in it anymore and then moving on to a new thing. So say you've had a dream of being a ballerina since you were 4 years old, and you've taken ballet classes. You went to the LaGuardia School of the Arts in Manhattan. You know you want to be a ballerina. You know you've got a dancer's body. You know you've got a dancer's talent. You know you've got the look and the skill and the heart in it. But then one day you discover something else that kind of pulls at your heart. And maybe one day you go on an audition to the next play and you're like, my heart's just not in it. I'm really just not feeling this as much as I used to. That's okay. It's okay to realize that your heart's not in something anymore and to move on to something else. It's okay to realize that you don't like doing something anymore and to move on to something else. It's okay to have a new dream and to dream of a new dream and to give yourself permission to have different goals and to have new goals and to move on toward those things. So I would be willing to wager that one of the strongest things that you can do is admit that your heart's not in something anymore, and just admit to yourself that you don't really want to do something anymore and you want to do something else, and give yourself that permission. Sometimes dreams and goals change as we get older or as we see new opportunities and possibilities, and we want to explore those things. That's what life is all about, is exploring all those new and cool opportunities that life has to offer. So realizing something is no longer important or no longer in your heart anymore, it's not quitting. It's only opening yourself up to something new and a new dream. So I hope you found this helpful. If you like this video, definitely hit that subscribe button below. And once this video is over, I want you to take out a sheet of paper or your journal and just write about something that you feel like you might have quit a little bit too soon, and one thing that you can do to start it up again. All right, well, I'll see you next time. Bye.